Hello everyone, Theophilus here. Welcome back to my channel. And today, I'm not sure if this is going to be a freestyle or not, but essentially, sorry, I'm tired yet awake. The topic of this video is going to be basically an update about how I've been and also what I'm learning about the things that I've been learning, researching, telling myself over the past few months. Namely, just overcoming hardship and how work is it's like a man's therapy. It's like a man's therapy. I'm gonna be honest, right? I really, really wanted to be in like the YouTube content creator, kind of like Hamza. I wanted that. I wanted to be basically in Hamza's position. Not that I exactly wanted to be Hamza or I wanted to teach I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it for your interpretation to think what that means, right? But yeah, I wanted essentially like the life that Hamza had. I wanted to kind of do the same thing he's doing. I don't know if I'd exactly like move to Bali and all that. I said Bali like loaf, Bali and all that. And I don't despise the man. I think this man has done so much for young men, and the man just doesn't get enough thanks for it. There's a lot that could be said, but I'm not gonna get into detail about that. But I essentially thought like this is gonna be my career pathway, like this is what I'm gonna do, But with how everything transpired with Hamza and everything going on now, like with the Tates, like once again, masculinity is being attacked, and whenever semblance of a man that seems masculine is shining in the stars, it's like someone tries to drag him down, and it's terrible. It is so sad and it is so horrible how much this society hates men and masculinity. It's really terrible. It's atrocious, truly. So, just trying to censor the camera in a good way. Okay. But things didn't turn out that way. When I was roughly about a year and a half ago, I was working a sales job as a car salesman. I was pushing about at least 70 hours a week. But I was making roughly maybe a little over half of what I make now. And, I learned a lot. Doing that. I learned a lot doing sales jobs. Life is basically sales. But, things are just hard. Things were hard because in this society, men have to find their own way. And that's the unfortunate reality. Yeah, there's some, say, sex groups of men where they go to college and they get their decent job and they kind of make a way. But I'm not going to say not everyone has that opportunity, but that's just not the position I was in. I didn't really care enough about school. I had potential to be, I guess, decent academic-wise. I had the potential to maybe even be like an electric engineer or something like that, but I didn't have the desire to, and essentially, what you desire, that's what you're gonna pursue, like, you could say, I want to get in the gym all you want, but if you go home and then you're eating cakes, well, you love cakes more than you love the gym, right? And that's evident in your actions, right? And me, I desire success, and I'm spending, say, 60 hours a week roughly working. And to be honest, I'm glad that I have the relationship that I do, because if I didn't, I'd spend a lot more time just texting random women that don't really care for me, or don't really have any good intentions for me, or just kind of all scrambling about trying to find the man that they want in the dating market. And it's essentially a rat race where most women are trying to go for the same kind of guy. Yeah, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it is what it is, right? You gotta speak what's real. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna just be insincere and, you know, say something that'll tickle your ears. But yeah, it was hard. It was hard because I had to navigate this life and find a way by myself. You know, like when I was doing, on Indeed, which is not the best. It can work, but it's really not the best. They say roughly half of all jobs on there are ghost jobs, not even real jobs. And most of the jobs you get hired for are like sales jobs where you don't get paid unless you're able to make the sales. And if you're able to make the sales, then good. But if you're not able to, then don't do it. Like if you will be paycheck to paycheck, I wouldn't recommend doing a sales job, because the frustration you deal with, the hardship, if you don't have, like, say, a good family where, say, like, they'll pay all your bills and take care of you, then you're gonna go through immense layers of frustration. You're gonna go to some dark places, and maybe you make it out, maybe you don't. Me, I didn't have the good enough mental health. I didn't have a good enough social circle around me, and I was just gonna, I wasn't gonna be able to make sales jobs. The car salesman job I made was a little bit better, but because I was making so little money, the progress I was making was so slow. So I'm actually glad that I stopped working that job, now that I think about it. And also, I wasn't taking care of my mental health. I was just pushing week through week, working 70 hours a week, 6 days a week for months, and I did it. But my mental health was taking a toll on my mental health for a while, and I didn't really recognize that until I eventually started to lose my mind a little bit, and I couldn't do it anymore. But I know I will make a way. And that's one thing a man can be, is he can be stubbornly resilient. Some people might see me as very intelligent. Some people might see me as very dumb and very slow. That's fine. Some people see me as very mentally strong and capable. Some people see me as very weak and incompetent. That's fine. Some people love me, some people hate me. It is what it is. But one thing a man can be is stubbornly resilient, and no one can take that away from a man if he's determined to win. Yeah, I'm glad I have the relationship I do, because, to be honest, with the stuff that I'm going through, it's really, really easy. I'll be honest, I have wasted a lot of time, my spare time, and some of it's somewhat justifiable. Like sometimes I have allergies. Like right now, they're kind of on halt right now, but they were just flaring just before this video started, where I got runny nose, sinus, and I literally have to hold my head back for the sinus to go down to my throat where I can spew the mucus out, or I have to just keep blowing my nose. Right, and I had like strep throat like a week and a half ago, and I worked through it. It wasn't too hard, but the effects of it. What's more frustrating is the fact that sometimes you literally have to blow your nose and blow your nose and blow your nose and blow your nose, or spew out mucus and spew out mucus and spew out mucus, because it keeps, your body's fighting. Your body's creating a mucus to fight the infection, right? And my body's winning. Good, I thank God. But it doesn't change the fact that sometimes I literally can't do anything, you know. and I'm injured as well. Once again, I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm not trying to make you feel sorry for me. In fact, I want to show you that you can do it, and you can even do better than I have. You know, to where if I eat until I'm full, I can't do I can't stretch my abdomen, right? Or else I'm going to be feeling all gassy and bloated, and, I'm going to be burping and farting the whole time, and that's dumb to do that, right? I have to have a certain amount of food in my body, and if my body is too weak, I can't do like the abdomen stretch. I can't do certain stretches or I'll catch a cramp, you know? So, I mean, yeah, it's tough and all, but my point is that it's the fact that sometimes you just can't do anything. When you're at that place where you can't physically do anything, only thing you can do is maybe research self-development content. And I can research self-development content, but if I'm not going all in on the self-improvement habits, why would I just continuously consume self-development content, right? And I don't want to be a self-development teacher very much either, in the sense of I don't want to just teach like, I don't know. Like, yes, I do want to be a self-development content creator, but I'm going to be honest, like, the most important self-development a man can do is make money. That's the most important thing a man can do, is find out how to make some money and get his body right, right? And I'm heavily injured, so I'm not going to be making any fitness content for a good while unless it's consistently recovering from injury, right? Spinal arthritis, pulled the muscles on the center of my back, pushing too much on a bench press. I've had those injuries for years, and I've dealt with them consistently. And yeah, it is what it is. I'm going to push through it. I'm going to make it. I'm a man. I take care of my problems. But the point still stands that sometimes I literally can't sit up to make a video because my abdomen gets hurt and irritated because of the position that I'm sitting in. Now, my body is getting better, even though I'm working more. That's the shocking thing about it. That's why I was going to say work is like a man's therapy, you know? Like, I wanted to kind of be in Hamza's position, but sitting back and thinking about it, I don't know if it's true, but if it is true that he wasn't even really faithful to those self-development habits, he was just scrolling on his phone and fucking hoes and smoking, then I don't want to be a liar and a hypocrite, you know? I want to show you that you can master yourself enough to succeed. I want to show you that you can do enough to make it, despite the bad habits that you may have, you know? Even if you watch pornography, that's not the end of the world, bro. It's how much you feed that habit, right? And how you relate to that habit. Are you using it as like a crutch? Are you using it as a form of like mental regulation, to where if you try to go a week without it, your mind is like, you're having like withdrawal symptoms, you know? Women. I'm having more experiences with women. Am I using that because I need like this ego boost validation of women constantly wanting to sleep with me to feel like a man? I understand that that's essentially what most men have, but, you know, I'm not even in a place where I can really pursue that and afford it from a mental energy standpoint. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I wanted to be a self-development content creator, but I don't want to exactly try to do like exactly what like Coms is doing. I want to do something else. I want to focus more on like, you know, working a job or two jobs and learning how to use the little money you have to invest into yourself, or, you know, getting out of the mindset of, hey, I'm working hard, I'm tired, I want to see this hoe. Versus, I'm tired, but hoes will play games with me, so I'm not going to waste time on them. You get what I'm saying? I want to document my progress, how my mind is shifting, how my mind is changing, and the progress I'm making and the things I'm teaching to help young men that are going on the same path as me that maybe can't do what Hamza's doing, right? Maybe you're like me and you didn't have two parents that will house you to where you don't have to pay any bills. I didn't have that. My mother died at 18. My dad's in jail. You get what I'm saying? Don't fucking boo-hoo for me. I'm not saying this that you would cry for me. I'm saying this that you would understand that there is a way to make it despite the hardship of your situation, right? And even those that are more in the dark pit, all the men that are addicted to these things really badly, to where it's like it's got a grip on their sack and they can't, you get what I'm saying? How can we help those men? How do we help the men that are maybe making 5-10K a month and they're making enough to live by themselves, but they're just destroyed mentally? How can we help those men? How can we help the men that have to work a job because they don't have a choice? Eventually I want to have a family. You get what I'm saying? And also, I know that if I was in Hamza's position, I would not be faithful to the self-development habits. Unless I had a crew of men around me that were good and faithful men, I wouldn't be able to be consistent on those habits. Right now, I just have one woman who I'm consistent with, and I admit that I'm weak to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm willing to acknowledge that. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to acknowledge that right now, though I understand and I've studied masculinity and femininity so much, yet still, I can be very weak to a woman. And I'm conscious of that, therefore I'm selective with the women that I choose to be around. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be, even if you're not the fully, alpha masculine man, right? You can still make a way. You can still make it out. And a lot of this is mental. What I mean by that is a therapist will say that all your problems come from stress, but stress comes from your perception of your reality. Andrew Tate says that emotions are feedback. I say that emotions are a reaction based off of your understanding. Essentially the same thing, right? But just different angles. All right. So yeah, I've come to grips with the fact that this self-development journey is going to be a lot longer than I thought. It might be, hey, I'm working 2 jobs for a while. It might be, hey, I don't know if I might make this dumb decision. Let's see what happens. Oh, I made this dumb decision. This happened. Won't do that. I made this dumb decision, but this good thing kind of happened out of it. Documenting my progress, using myself as an example, documenting my journey, and not trying to keep a facade that I'm the, and I'm not saying this is what Hamza's doing, but I'm saying I'm not going to pretend like I can do it. You get what I'm saying? Especially by myself and the circumstance that I'm in. And once I get to 10-20K a month, I can't say that I'm not going to be sleeping around with hoes. And maybe I'm going to have a woman by my side that's going to help me pick and choose which hoes I can sleep around with. That way I don't get destroyed and finessed and famoosed, even though I understand and I've studied female sexuality so deeply. I still need the experience, right? Experience is the best teacher. And things are looking a lot better for me. Things are looking a lot better for me. But what surprised me is that I thought, if I'm working 7 days a week, I'm not going to have the energy. I'm not going to have the time to still record YouTube videos. And, what logic is that based off of? Or is that simply an emotional assumption? Because once again, here I am. I was working 40, 50 hours a week. Now I'm going to try to push 60 hours a week. And here I am, able to speak concisely, able to, with enough slowness and precision, explain to you something for now 20 minutes. You get what I'm saying? I still have the energy to make these videos. The reason why is because I have a lot stored up in my heart and my mind. So I'm going to tell you how this last week's been. It's been tough. Surprisingly, it has not been as tough physically as I thought it would be. It is tough physically. And I still have my injuries that I'm working through. But I believe my legs are getting stronger. So I could be on my feet 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. And I come home and, my hips aren't just destroyed, I'm not aching in my back. I don't even feel the pain in my abdomen right now as I'm making this video. And I just got off of a 10-hour shift, where I had to do some things like move tires and bend and turn and all that, right? A lot of walking around and stuff. I feel okay. Now, I'm not saying that there's not pain or that my body's not defending itself from the pain, which the bodies can do. But I'm making this video nonetheless. And I believe that I can bear the stress. And I've been telling myself, I can bear this stress. I can bear this stress because I've borne more stress for long periods of time. And I can deal with this stress better than I have in the past. And this YouTube channel is one thing that's going to help me get through it because it's therapeutic for me. So it's been pretty tough. Both sources of income are going well. The thing is, I'm still making a lot of mistakes at work, growing, learning, but I have a good team and I have a good manager that's really helping me through it. And that's a good thing. It's a really good thing to have. And respect is definitely earned in this world, and I'm content with the journey of learning how to be a man and learning to earn that respect. And surprised my body's feeling better even though I'm putting it through more stress. Houston, Texas weather. It's been 95 to 100 degrees every day for the past several weeks. I'm also working under the hood of the vehicle, which is essentially the bulk of the work where your job is most seen, right? So your mistakes are the most exposed. You get what I'm saying? So it's pressure, but I'm learning to deal with the pressure. And also I'm learning to be content, not just when I'm not with talking to my girl, but I'm being content without women. This is dangerous. This makes a man dangerous. When he's content without female validation, when he's content without female attention, when he's content without, his sexual urges always being gratified and desires, right? I practiced a little bit of sexual transmutation today. Now, granted, I was very, very exhausted, but I did it nonetheless, and I'm going to explain that a little bit too. I believe so. So, it's been kind of tough, but I've been making it through. I have not been discouraged. Sure, I've had a lot of frustration, of course, as a man. It's good, natural, healthy for a man to feel and perceive and have the natural feedback of frustration, as long as he knows how to deal with that frustration and he's not crashing out and taking out his anger on other people, right? As long as he can bear his emotions, there's nothing wrong with a man being a little bit pissed off. And Tate says as well, society tells men, just shut up, just shut up, just shut up. Just take drugs or just watch TV, bro. And just don't get mad, bro. It's not that serious. That is a extremely feminine way to look at it. And a man with testosterone should not be just chillaxing when he knows he has bottled up emotions. The men that bottle up their emotions, I would argue those are the toxically masculine ones. The ones that just do drugs and play video games and are chasing around hoes and watching pornography all the time. I would argue those are the more toxically masculine ones, because those are the ones that are deeply more emotionally unstable, and those are the ones that don't really know how to deal with women. Those are the ones that don't know how to bear their stress. Those are the ones that are unpredictable. Those are the ones that are more likely to be emotional and reactive to their circumstance, rather than more of a stoic approach to life. This is exactly what Tate says. And this is the message that people hated so much that they decided to seemingly run an entire slander campaign about him with all kinds of allegations that I have not yet to see one be proven. Probably going to look into what's going on with that as well, That sucks, man. It sucks. It's a terrible thing. And it shows how little this society cares about men, American citizens. But I digress from that point. I was pretty tired today. The past few days, I haven't really gotten much sleep. I've gotten like 3-4 hours of sleep the past few days. And, things happen. Some plans got canceled. I was starting to feel tempted. Like, I felt a little pain. I felt a little sadness. I opened up to my girl, and I was like, I'm just being accountable, just so that I'm not bottling up and storing up emotions, and I'm not, being insincere about it. This is my partner. I want you to know what's going on with me, but I'm okay. I'm pushing through. I am making it through, and I'm gonna do what it needs to be done, regardless of how I feel. And I was just getting ready for bed. I came straight home, showered, and I was gonna eat, but I was so tired. I was like, maybe I'll just like nap a little bit, then wake up and eat, And I was so tired, I started like dreaming about work. It was kind of funny and weird. But then I woke up and I was like, nah, I need to eat something. So I woke up, ate some fruits, and I think it kind of forced my body awake a little bit. I eat bananas. Not because I even like the taste of bananas, but I get them really cheap at a nearby store. And I know they have some potassium, which also helps. And just a quick, easy grab and go snack, And when I ate a few, it kind of woke me up. I don't know if it's the starch in them or the sugar, but sometimes when I eat them, it kind of forces me awake, you know? I want to do more research on it, but I believe that there's something in bananas. I think like the way your body digests it, it kind of prioritizes your body digesting it over you getting rest. Something like that. But yeah, I ate it. Then I couldn't sleep. My body kind of forced awake. I was in a little bit of a meditative state for a little while, maybe like 10, 20 minutes, just kind of. Then waves of thoughts started hitting me. And this would have helped me a lot more if I would have just did this more. Just been like more still with my thoughts. And yes, meditation is very, very important. And it's good. But what I've learned is that sometimes I just can't meditate. Like sometimes I can't really meditate. Like, and what it is what I believe it is that I have pent up energy. I have emotions. I believe energy can be described as energy in motion. It's energy that's just going. If you ever find yourself having conversations in your head, or you ever find yourself going on like long rants, say about like politics or religion or something like that, women, the modern state of the world, whatever, your situation, this person, that person, it's because you have a lot of energy, stored up energy in your mind that you're not. That's why people say things like, oh, you get that off your chest, And expressing is a good way to do it. Meditation can, help you find stillness and focus and presence, which is very important. But when you meditate, often thoughts come and go, right? That's how it happens. You focus on your breathing, a thought comes, you notice the thought, you return back to your breathing, keep breathing, another thought comes. You know what I'm saying? But if it gets to a point where you try to meditate and maybe you can meditate for 5-10 minutes, but then like all time you find yourself you just keep having these thoughts, keep having all these thoughts. It's because you have pent up energy that's trying to get out, and now that your mind is silent, it's saying, hey, remember you were thinking about this. Hey, remember you talked about this. Hey, remember you have this to do. Your mind is like it's calmed down, and now it's like, okay, we can breathe. Now let's work on all this other stuff that's going on in your head that you've just been not repressing, but you've been like too busy, or you've been doing other things and you haven't been dealing with your emotions. That's why things like going to the gym are so beneficial for them, because they can get out that excess mental and physical energy that they have. I definitely recommend it, but I'm not gonna like preach it because I myself am injured. So this happened and I just couldn't. It was like an hour. And sometimes I do this where I like try to go to sleep, and I try to go to sleep when I realize, okay, I feel tired but I can't sleep. I need to do something. I need to expend this excess energy, and this is a great way to do it. It's therapeutic. Once you could say, surface noise quieted down, my mind started going deep. I wasn't just thinking too much. I wasn't just being in my head. I was having emotions and thoughts inside of me that needed expression rather than repression. My brain has been drowning in unexpressed thought for probably however many days since my last video. And meditation kind of discovers what you're carrying inside of you. But creativity is really how you get it out. Alright? And yeah, it gives me structure. It really helps. Hey, communities, they knew this, right? Healthy communities all knew this. There's a way where whatever you believe, whatever you teach, like you talk about it a lot. You express, you express, you express, you express, you express. You get the best cultures. Many cultures, they're consistently expressing themselves, consistently expressing. And expression can be seen as a feminine thing, but in my opinion, we all have masculine and feminine energy anyways. So even if it is feminine, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, right? Masculinity is more so doing something to solve a problem that's causing the stress, like studying the work that you do, right? Or going to your boss and asking, boss, what do you need me to work on, right? That's masculinity. You're solving the problem. Femininity can be more of the emotional side of it, right? And I believe they're like yin and yang. They go together. And I believe this is all just a part of mental regulation, you know? There's some men that are just fully in their masculine all the time and they just work, they come home, they don't talk to anyone. Their mental health's probably not the best, but they're able to just power through, right? And there's times for that. But if you're going to have healthy mental health, which I am trying to focus on more, especially working arguably 7 days a week, then I'm going to need to lock in on this YouTube channel a little bit more and post more content and get out the excess emotion that's inside of me. And also, when you consume content, this is another thing. When you just consume educational content, but you don't make your own educational content, you're like a dam. You're just like building, storing, and you're not using it. And if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of reasons why expressing and making a YouTube channel is very valuable and very helpful and very good. And in this day and age, something Dan Coe says that is really powerful is that, well, a lot of times in history, people worked for themselves. You know, just thinking about the days, thinking about biblical history, but also just in that time as well. There were men that were blacksmiths, there were men that were carpenters, there were men that were fishermen, right? Men would have a trade and they would make like a little family business. They would the men would raise their sons up and teach them how to be, say, a successful fisherman, which is a very, very profitable skill and trade back in those days. You know, blacksmith, which I believe is working with metals, correct me if I'm wrong. You know, all kinds of jobs they would work, and they would work for someone. They would they would make contracts and work with people, or sometimes a group of men would work under someone. You know, but this whole institutional thing, where the government gets all the money by extracting as much energy as possible from the people underneath while paying them as little as legally possible. You know, I think those days are slowly starting to come to an end, where people are going to start more so working for themselves. And if men start rising up as they have been, they're going to start saying, government, get out of my pockets. Stop taxing me to death. Let me breathe. And I'm not saying that it's perfect or that even is very logically sound, but you get the point. More people will start to work for themselves. And this is also building towards that purpose and that end, that I will have my own personal brand and my own things going on, and eventually I'll escape the 9-to-5 rat race, you know, but I'm alright for now. So yeah, I might do some studying now, whether it's work for my job or just mindset, you know, because I'm at a point where I'm just tired of the BS, you know. Not saying I'm going to be perfect, not saying I'm not going to text some random female, Not saying that I'm not going to do anything bad, but I'm going to try to get to work. Thank y'all for tuning in. I will see you on the next one. Theophilus, signing out.